It is my great pleasure to welcome you all to the University of Chicago's Martin Luther King Jr. reception. I am Bill McDade, the Deputy Provost for Research and Minority Issues and co-chair of the Diversity Leadership Council at the university. Today, we come together to celebrate the legacy of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. through honoring the work of a staff member, a faculty member, and an alumnus who all embody Dr. King's beliefs. I'm joined on the stage by the University of Chicago's 13th president, Robert Zimmer. This afternoon's honorees and my co-chair of the Diversity Leadership Council, Sonia Melinda, Senior Associate Vice President for Community Engagement. At this moment, I think I'd like to acknowledge the presence of Norman Dong, who's here, who's a representative of the federal government in the GAO. And if there are any additional people who come in later who are part of our political establishment, please see me. And it is now my great pleasure to welcome President Robert Zimmer. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Bill, and let me add my welcome to all of you to that of Bill McDade. This is a very important annual event for the University of Chicago. Dr. King was not only an extraordinary individual, but had an enormous impact on the fabric of our country and the history of this country over the last 50, 60 years. He was an extraordinary advocate for many important, around many important questions. One that is particularly relevant to us today, which is around the areas of diversity and inclusion. For the university to fulfill its highest aspirations, as many of you have heard me say on many occasions, the issue of inclusion is absolutely essential for us. If we are going to live up to our aspiration of being a place of open and rigorous inquiry, that is the foundation of the way we can have impact on the world, then we are forced, that we must be a place of broad-based diversity and broad-based inclusion. This has been an issue for this country. It's been an issue for our campus, been an issue for the world, in fact. But it's something that we need to constantly pay attention to and constantly be making progress about. This year, we did a number of things that I think were very important in this respect. And before recounting one or two of them, let me just say that when one thinks about diversity, one is really thinking about quite a complex fabric. This involves the nature of our faculty, involves the nature of our student body, our staff, our relationship to the community, the nature of our business diversity programs, and much more. And diversity itself and the nature of inclusion is also very complex. The whole question of difference and the nature of difference can be very broad and encompasses many different features, and we need to be attuned to all of them so that everyone feels that they have potential for inclusion in the activities and the community of the University of Chicago. So this year, one of the issues we focused on very early was the question of the economic diversity of our college student body in particular. The college has a very particular role to play in the university. Aside from being the largest student body, it's also a place where inevitably the values of the university get expressed. It's a place where everybody from all over the university must come together to think about the nature of the college and what it does. So when we launched the No Barriers initiative this fall, it was very much with the idea that this was going to be a major focus on increasing the economic diversity of our student body, creating more opportunities and more attention and more support for students coming from financially disadvantaged or even less well-advantaged backgrounds. So this involved the elimination of loans, the elimination of application fees, the elimination of work requirement, additional support for taking full advantage of the opportunities that the University of Chicago education offers, and meaningful work experiences through internships. So it's a very broad-based program, and as we see from the application pool, it's already having significant impact, and we have had a very large increase, for example, in the number of applicants who are first-generation college goers. They're not quite goers yet, but hopefully they will be next year, and I think this is a very important thing. On the other hand, we also saw this as a year where the number of students and faculty articulated our need to do yet more in various ways, not directed at that question, but around climate issues on campus. And as you know, Provost and I sent out a message about this and a number of the steps we were taking. Provost recently sent out a follow-up message. So we view all of these activities and concerns as healthy, natural, and useful in focusing our attention on an issue that needs attention, always has needed attention, and for the foreseeable future will need attention. One of the ways that we have, one of the vehicles that we've tried to use was in 2007, we created the Diversity Leadership Council, which was administrators, senior administrators from all around the university who would attend to a number of the issues that I raised before. This has been an extremely important organization for us. I'd just like to, a number of people here on this council, including the chair and vice chair, and I'd just like to recognize all the work that this group has done now over quite a number of years. The main item we come to now is something that it has been very important, which is recognizing leadership in areas around diversity and inclusion. We've done this in recent years by giving out 2 awards, one to a staff member and one to an alum of the university. This year we are giving, for the first time, 3 awards, adding a faculty member to the awards list. So with that, I am going to have the pleasure of turning over to these awards. So they were formally established in 2009, and they were to acknowledge at the time staff and alumni, now faculty, whose work has embodied the values of Dr. King and his commitment to equal opportunity. So we're going to begin this afternoon with our staff award. With these awards, we recognize staff members who display leadership in fostering diversity both on campus and within the surrounding community. And the recipient of the 2015 Diversity Leadership Staff Award is Veronica Hauad, Senior Associate Director of College Admissions. So Veronica, who is a Chicago native, came to the university's undergraduate admissions office 4 years ago with a passion for expanding access to the University of Chicago experience, access for more students. She spearheaded the UChicago Promise Initiative, which helps prepare students from diverse Chicago neighborhoods for the college application process. I will say the UChicago Promise Initiative was actually so important and so successful that it actually formed the foundation of the No Barriers Initiative, and it gave us the confidence that the No Barriers Initiative, in fact, was something we could undertake successfully. So in the short time since the initiative was launched, it's helped thousands of Chicago area students, parents, and teachers better understand the college application process, And the goal, which has been certainly achieved for many, many students, is that these students view college not only as an attainable goal, but that the capacity for many of them to attend selective colleges, such as the University of Chicago, is in fact within their reach. Veronica's dedication to this program was important, as I say, not just because of the importance of the program, but what it led us to have the confidence to do in terms of no barriers. Further demonstrating her commitment to diversity, social justice, and equality, Veronica's led essay writing workshops for Chicago area students during the 2012 Chicago Public School Teachers Strike. Veronica invited CPS students to campus for college application, writing workshops and mock interview sessions. She continues to lead workshops for high schools and community organizations that request assistance, often on the weekends and in the evening. In her short time at the university, Veronica has helped open the door to college for thousands of students, first for students in Chicago and now for students all over the country. So, Veronica, you want to join me here?
Oh, you with the camera.
Okay.
Thank you so very much, President Zimmer. Thank you very much.
Okay, would you like to?
Sure, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much, President Zimmer. And I also want to thank the Diversity Leadership Council, the University of Chicago, for putting me, for whatever reason, in the same category as Timuel Black and Cathy Cohen. I also want to thank the people who nominated me for this award. So Julie Peterson, who from the beginning has been a wonderful colleague and advocate of mine, and certainly Jim Nondorf, who has been an excellent mentor and leader in the admissions office. I'm really fortunate because I've worked in 2 amazing admissions offices where everyone in the office understands that the work we do for underrepresented students is shared work. It's not any one individual person's work, and that makes my everyday life much easier. So I work in the college admissions office, and really what I'm trying to do, particularly here in the city of Chicago, and as we expand this nationally, is make sure that all underrepresented students understand that they can go to schools like the University of Chicago. There's a lot to unpack there, so usually I go into sessions thinking there are just 2 things that we need to accomplish. We have to make sure that these students understand that they deserve to learn in a liberal arts college setting, and that they also deserve to be in a truly diverse environment, and that will benefit them long term. I think until I went to a liberal arts college, I didn't really have anyone in my life telling me, yes, it's okay to love reading and writing and different subjects, and you can study things like anthropology and history and sociology and still make a living for yourself. And I had that in my faculty advisor in college. So it was just so wonderful to finally be in that environment that I knew I belonged in, but I didn't have a name for it. I didn't have the concept. So I want my students to be able to learn in a liberal arts environment. Sometimes that means they find themselves to the University of Chicago, and sometimes the prep we give them allows them to go to another great liberal arts college, and we've done our job if we have gotten them to that point. The other thing I always want for them is for them to be able to spend at least 4 years of their lives in a truly diverse environment. Because as we all know, we grow up in very segregated, homogenous environments. So wherever you are, your family and your community and your school and your city, everyone there is the same. They're all just like you. So when I got to college and finally met people that I, again, didn't know existed, it changed everything. I met East Coast boarding school students. I met students whose families ran actual farms. There are still farmers in America. I met people who were different, had different religious beliefs than I did. I went to parochial schools, Catholic schools. So all I was ever around were people who had the same religious beliefs as I had. I met Republicans. I met honest to goodness real life Central Ohio Republicans, and I adored them because they were really just like me. They had such passion and they cared about so many things, and we just cared about them in different ways. I think the college has grown. We've become a more diverse environment, and we're experiencing some of the growing pains of that, and it's okay. As long as we as the adults are here to make sure that they understand what it's like to be for the first time in their lives at 18 years old in a truly diverse environment, and that they will benefit long-term from this. The people who had the most influence in my life, all those years I lived in Ohio, were the people who were totally different from me. So I want to thank everyone at the university who puts in all that hard time to work with the students that we bring here. That's the only bad thing about admissions. I bring them here and then I'm done because I'm moving on to the next class. And so I don't always get to be involved in their lives the way that I want to. So my office thanks all of you for helping them as they navigate their 4 years here. Thank you.
It's a special honor this year to award our inaugural Faculty Diversity Leadership Award, and this recognizes significant faculty contributions to equal opportunity. The first ever faculty recipient of this award is Cathy Cohen. Who is the chair of the Department of Political Science and the David and Mary Winton Green Professor of Political Science. As a scholar, member of the university community, and resident of the city of Chicago, Cathy has dedicated her academic career and life to exploring issues of diversity, inclusion, and social justice, often in the context of politics. A leading scholar in the study of gender and race, she's the principal investigator on the Black Youth Project, which explores the attitudes, resources, and cultures of African Americans ages 15 to 25. The project provides a web platform that has allowed Black youth from all over the country to amplify their voices and be heard in national discussions. Cathy also started the Mobilization, Change, and Civic Engagement Project, which explores how the 2008 election, an election that prominently featured African American and women candidates, changed political attitudes and behaviors in the United States. While Cathy's work has received scholarly recognition, much of it is also designed to help inform and facilitate efforts by underserved individuals to mobilize support and engage in the political process. Cathy has a long history of political involvement on issues of diversity that complements her scholarly work. She was a founding board member of the Audre Lorde Project, a community organizing center for lesbian, gay, bisexual, two-spirit, trans, and gender nonconforming people of color. Cathy was also a founding member of Black AIDS Mobilization and served on the boards of Kitchen Table, Women of Color Press, the Center for Lesbian and Gay Studies at the City College of New York, and the Arca Social Justice Foundation. Through her scholarship and civic and political involvement, Cathy's given voice to underserved populations, helped us understand how diverse groups engage in the political process, and advocated for better lives for all of us. So it's a great honor to present the 2015 Diversity Leadership Faculty Award to Cathy Cohen.
Wow. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Okay. You have to stop. I only have 3 minutes, they told me, so. So I'd like to thank President Zimmer. I'd like to congratulate my fellow awardees, Veronica and, of course, Mr. Timuel Black. I want to thank the Diversity Leadership Council for this award. I have to admit to being humbled for receiving an award for doing the work that I believe, in fact, that we all should be doing. Not because, in fact, it's the morally right thing to do, which it is. Not because it's about recruiting Republicans, which I just learned. I might have to stop doing that. but because if we've said so often, any great university, any great effort, any great movement to change people's lives involves sacrifice, it involves a diversity and range of voices, and it involves a commitment to the betterment of people, sometimes standing beside you and sometimes that you don't know. And I am very clear that I would not be standing before you to receive this award without actually the hard work, the sacrifices, and the struggle of those in and out of the academy who opened up doors at elite institutions like the University of Chicago, so that I and others who look like me or who struggled like me might in fact walk through those doors. And I'm also sure that I wouldn't be here without the incredible love and support of my family, Beth and Ella. Ella, my daughter, who's videotaping me right now. Hi, Ella. As well as, of course, my parents and extended family, people I love sitting at that table. I have said this before, that this is an institution with a long history of having diverse people here, something, in fact, that we should feel very proud about. We also know that being present on campus is not the same thing as being an integral part of the campus and community. I am, and I've said this before, reminded of Georgiana Simpson, one of the 3 black women who received the first African-American, one of the 3 black women who were the first to receive a PhD in 1921. Dr. Simpson received her PhD from the University of Chicago. All that I've learned about Dr. Simpson suggests that while she understood herself to be at the University of Chicago, she was never fully of the University of Chicago. She lived off campus and understood her community of interlocutors to include faculty and students, but most prominently the black community where she resided. Dr. Simpson's experience reminds us that there is always more work to do around issues of diversity and equality and social justice. We, in fact, hopefully are committed to building a learning environment that doesn't just embrace diversity, but in fact is diverse to its core. We must understand that a diverse population, of course, is not the same as a diverse distribution of power. We have to remember and we have to build a university that models itself after Dr. King's struggle, not only for diversity, but of course for equality. So I am honored and yes, happy to accept this award on behalf of all the faculty members working daily to ensure that their classrooms, their research is always engaging new voices, always opening up new questions, always highlighting new experiences with respect and seriousness. It is actually Chicago at its best, and I'm proud to represent that on a good day. Thank you.
Our final award this afternoon is the Diversity Leadership Alumni Award, with which we highlight the contributions of alumni who advance the cause of social justice in our society. Now we have about 150,000 alumni. They're a very distinguished group, including some of the world's most prominent thinkers, inventors, researchers, business people, and so on. And out of that 150,000 people, we give one award to an alumni member today, and that person is Timuel Black. Timuel Black received a master's degree from the University of Chicago in 1954. He has lived a life that links social activism and academics, and his story reflects the tremendous changes in civil rights in Chicago and the United States as a whole over the course of the 20th century and beyond. He was an early leader in the civil rights movement on the south side of Chicago, and his social and political activism led to a number of historic moments. In 1956, he helped organize the visit of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. for his first major speech in Chicago, which was held in Rockefeller Chapel. Later, he helped organize a contingent of freedom trains from Chicago to the 1963 March on Washington, where Dr. King gave probably his most famous speech, his I Have a Dream speech. This early activism would lead to major victories in Chicago politics and on the national stage. He worked to end segregation in the United States Armed Forces and in the Chicago public schools, where he taught for 40 years. Timuel Black helped Harold Washington become Chicago's first African-American mayor, worked to elect Carol Moseley Brown, the first female African-American United States senator. He was also instrumental in Barack Obama's U.S. Senate campaign and later in his bid to become the first African-American president of the United States. In the past year, Timuel Black has emerged as a leading advocate for bringing the Obama Presidential Library to the south side of Chicago, recognizing not only the library's potential for significant educational and economic impact, but also the cultural importance and the historical importance of locating the archive of the country's first African-American president in a community that has nurtured so many historic firsts. He has argued that the important records in the library will continue to inspire future generations of leaders in this community. The link between information and inspiration is also at the heart of Timuel Black's scholarly work. Trained as a historian at the university, he's compiled hundreds of oral histories from African Americans who lived on Chicago's South Side after the first and second Great Migrations. He used these histories to craft his Bridges of Memory series, which will soon include a third volume. He is also writing an autobiography to share his experiences with future generations. In 2012, Timuel Black received the university's Benton Medal, one of our highest awards that recognizes individuals dedicated to public service. One of his nominators for that award referred to him as one of the most influential civil rights leaders in Chicago history, and this award today is another recognition of his expansive impact. His political activism and scholarly work has inspired many and will continue to inspire diverse leaders from the South Side and all across the country long into the future. So, Timuel Black, it's my great pleasure to give you this award.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I'm so deeply honored, and I'm unprepared to make a statement, but I can say this. I certainly appreciate President Zimmer and all of the people here. And I can say, for me, my major claim to fame is having lived 96 years. 95 of them on the south side of Chicago. And then having married this pretty young woman, Zenobia Black, for 34 years. Stand up, Zenobia. But as President Zimmer has indicated, most of those years have been spent trying to, particularly after World War II, seeing the Holocaust and results of life, if people are organized against life, having seen that a determination came, and then having heard of Hiroshima, where 100,000 people were killed by a single missile in one day. Returning home for me started in my feelings that had been transferred from my parents. that I had one mission, to try and make this world a better world, and to start where I grew up on the South Side. And so right now, I could go into a lot of detail. My major interest in terms of the community and bringing unity in the community for the community, not just the community, but beyond the community, to bring the library of the President of the United States to the South Side of Chicago. Now that is my and thousands of others who live on the South Side wish. That just happens that the University of Chicago agrees with that. And I'm glad they do. But the accusations that go out on the university indicating somehow that they are in the leadership, no. They are supporting. Why should the library be anywhere else but on the South Side of Chicago? Where the President of the United States got his start, and where he organized very often in the Chicago, with the march and with the Bud Billiken Parade and others in the early days of his political career. Where our principal speaker this evening, Jesse Jackson, helped to organize and bring Dr. King, and Dr. King spoke, and I could go on many, many other things. Washington Park is not only a park that brought and brings people together, but brings them in unity to build a better and a prosperous community. And this library would accelerate those goals. Let's all support that idea to bring the library not only to Chicago, but to the South Side. And my preference, as supported by President Zimmer and others, is Washington Park. Which deals with the whole world of unity, community, cohesion, coherence, and success. Amen. Better looked at the man who we could say, as said by Eisenhower when he was becoming the president, before he became the president, when he was selected to be the chief officer in the Allies, and said, as we were not doing so well in North Africa, the impossible, we do that immediately. The miraculous sometimes take a little longer. Washington Park exemplifies a person who did the impossible. We want the world to know that, where to start, and now where he is. Thank you so much for your patience. I hope I didn't take up too much time. I didn't take up too much time.
Wonderful, beautifully said.
Is that all right?
So just in conclusion, let me again both thank and congratulate our award winners for all of their extraordinary work, the impact that they have had on the university and on our community, taken both narrow and large in general. I also want to thank those who nominated, not only the winners, but nominated people in general for these awards. The act of nomination itself is one of recognizing people for their achievements. Sometimes these achievements are very visible, sometimes they're not so visible, and people should have the opportunity to be recognized for both of them. In conclusion, I just want to remind you that, as Timuel Black indicated, we continue at 6 o'clock in Rockefeller Chapel, where Reverend Jesse Jackson will deliver the keynote address. Thank you all for coming.